Well, hello! It's been a while since we've done a Notion Goals check-in. I thought I'd use this time to go through all of the yearly goals that I've set for the year. In this video, I'm gonna go over what goals worked for me, what didn't work, the goals that I actually achieved, and then the goals that I didn't. By the way, I actually recorded this video 2 weeks ago and I am redoing the intro because I just didn't like the way it turned out. I just don't want this to be a wasted effort because I already gone through the editing portion of this video, so if you are familiar with putting together tutorials like this, it is a very long process and can take days on out. So I really try to consolidate all of this as much as possible within the last 2 weeks. Even though I recorded this 2 weeks ago, I still think it is pretty relevant, so I hope you enjoy. It took me a lot longer to get ready today for some reason. But now that we are settled in, let's go ahead and get started. I am going to clip my mic onto my shirt like that, so I don't have to worry about holding it while I'm recording. I got my water ready just so I don't get dehydrated. All right, so if you haven't downloaded my template yet, they are both linked in the descriptions of this video. They are no longer free, but I am working on another yearly template, and just like the previous one, I am gonna offer it for free for the first 30 days. To begin, we are gonna start at the very home page of the template, and we are going to navigate down to the yearly goals section. If you go to the bottom, I've set 33 goals, and as of today, I've only completed 15 of those goals. And this is the monthly average of all the monthly goals and tasks that have been aggregated for that goal. So I would actually ignore this because this is just an average of everything that you've accomplished collectively. So instead of going through every single one of my goals, I'm actually going to select 5 personal goals and then 5 professional goals. As you can see, I have these categorized based on the priority level, which I'm actually not utilizing for myself right now, but it could be helpful for others. Timeline, meaning the time frame that I want to accomplish this goal based on quarters, and then the last time I actually accomplished this goal. Going over to my personal tab, I'm gonna just select random 5 goals that I was able to achieve and not achieve. As you can see with my personal goals, I have 22 goals, but I've only completed 8. The first one I'm gonna select is decluttering my entire apartment. So if I were to open this one, which actually, in fact, let me actually make this a little bigger into a full page. So looking at this from a more holistic view, I've been trying to declutter my apartment ever since, I guess, when I actually made it, March. The last time I actually completed this was in August, but ultimately the timeline that I was trying to achieve it was Q2. Initially, I accomplished this goal pretty early, but there were just still a lot of loose ends that I still need to get rid of and just declutter my entire space. I actually met this goal on time, but I started to add additional months to it just because I felt like every single month I still had things that I could either donate or toss or throw away. I still had a ton of stuff I need to get rid of. Oh gosh, it's like really loud today. I think when you've been living by yourself for so long, you just naturally collect a lot of things. It's just really hard for me to throw away a lot of memories that I feel like are really sentimental to me. I mean, I'm sure this is really common for a lot of people. I know this isn't just me, but part of the reason why I set this goal is I needed to learn how to let go of things I no longer needed and declutter my place. All right, the next goal that I really want to focus on is create a new series for my YouTube channel. So obviously, as you can see, I have not met this goal, and I was essentially trying to meet this goal in Q1. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna change up the setting of all of this and make it into full page. That way it's a lot easier to like navigate toward. I think with this goal was a huge stretch for me because I did have to take a strong pause on YouTubing for a while, mostly because I was starting to get extremely overwhelmed with my work-life balance, and I just wasn't able to commit to this hobby anymore, even though my central goal was to make this a hobby of mine. But unfortunately, I realized that I was getting incredibly burnt out, was trying to come up with different type of content ideas, and it's probably best that I stay with what really works for me and what's a lot easier for me versus trying to come up with a new category to help expand my YouTube content or whatever. But ultimately, I wasn't able to meet this goal, and I necessarily didn't want to move the timeline to another quarter just because that's the committed time that I had essentially expected to meet this goal, and I didn't meet it, and that's okay. I kind of feel like I did start a new series again ever since I got back into YouTubing because I'm now focused on more like week in my life stuff or like things that are happening in my day-to-day or weekend activities. So I don't know, maybe that is saying I did start a new series, but in my mind, I kind of feel like it's not, just because I kind of wasn't already incorporating a lot of that into my YouTube. But nonetheless, this is one that I didn't meet. It's totally okay. It's totally natural that you're not always going to meet all these goals that you've set yourself for the year or the month. Another goal I want to talk about is release 3 Notion templates for the year. Opening this up, I've already completed 1 Notion template, which is the yearly template that I am using right now. And then a couple of other ones which I've blurred out because I actually might still consider releasing these either this year or next year. Again, similar to what I said about YouTubing, I probably won't change these templates at all just because I've put a lot of effort into it anyway. Similar to what I said about YouTubing and making another series for my channel, it's pretty comparable with templates as well. I don't want to make significant changes with what I've already created with these 2 templates. I think they're still really phenomenal, and I'm really proud of what I put together for these because of course it's a lot of work. So I'm probably just going to release it when I can, maybe just take a look at it and see what new features Notion came out with and incorporate what that is. Do you guys like my percentage bar, by the way? This is literally my favorite highlight. If you don't remember, this also does roll up everything from your monthly progress and your task progress as well. Again, I do have a complete tutorial of how to use my yearly Notion template, so I'll go ahead and link that as well, and I highly suggest you to check it out. The next goal I want to discuss is read 75 books challenge via Goodreads. I should actually change the title of this goal because it's not necessarily through Goodreads. I'm actually using a different tracker now. But this is probably one of my most prized challenges that I was able to accomplish way before Q4. I'm still adding books that I'm reading right now just to keep track of them, but this was honestly such a big accomplishment for me that I think I might have increased my goal count on my Goodreads app to, wait, where is I? Actually, wait, not my Goodreads app. It's actually Fables what I'm using now, but I've already accomplished, I think, like, what's it say? If you look at my Fable app, I actually increased that goal count from 75 to 80, and I've already accomplished it to like 87. I don't know, I'm kind of feeling a little adventurous. I'm thinking about increasing my goal count to 100 books, and I don't know, I might be able to actually read 100 books this year. I don't know. I just didn't want to set this wild expectation and actually not meet it. So I didn't want to set it to 100, but now I feel pretty confident that I can actually meet it. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and change this right now to 100. Okay, I just changed it to 100. I'm going to have you guys keep me accountable for this. I am definitely going to try to read 100 books this year. Keep me accountable, you guys. I'm not kidding. By the way, in my template, I do have it in gallery and both table view. So if you open it up in table view, I'm actually just gonna click more. Well, if you have something where you know you have just a larger data to collect, the table view is a really good way to just kind of see it in one consolidated view versus the gallery view, which is, I don't know, it could be a little too much to look at. But sometimes I like things more in gallery view, some things I like it in table view, and this is one of the things I like in table view. And then my last personal goal I want to highlight is recreate a new emergency funds account. This one is obviously a very personal goal to me. When I was laid off from my job, I can't remember how long I said I didn't have a job for, but I couldn't find a job for like 9 months. I essentially had to dip into my emergency funds to pay for my rent and then pay for all the things I was doing outside of just covering the basic needs. So yes, it was extremely hard because I had to go into my reserves that were made to buy a house. It really sucked because I reserved so much over the last few years, and I had an exact down payment that I was gonna use to buy a house. I'm really glad that I had the emergency funds because in most cases, most people don't have reserves that can last them up to a year and a half, and I had exactly that. And I'm really thankful for myself that I was extremely diligent about saving my money and making sure that I had something in case that another emergency like this could happen. So I've been starting my emergency funds goal back in March, and I've been slowly adding money back into it. I've slowly started adding money back to my emergency funds, and ever since then, I've just been adding in as much as I can. That way I can rebuild this emergency account in case something like this ever happens to me again. The job market is really intense. I'm absolutely afraid. You just never know. Anyone, any day, this could really happen to you again, and it's really, really important to have a safety net, have an emergency fund for yourself. Even if you have a source of income from family or just another source of income elsewhere, you just never know. Like, you really, really need to set aside something that's dedicated for something like this, and yeah, just cover all your bases. All right, so those are my top 5 personal goals that I've accomplished and didn't accomplish, but I do have some honorary goals that I want to mention as well. The first one is travel to 2 foreign countries. I have the timeline set for Q4 anyway, so essentially I still have time to meet this goal. This is really a shameless opportunity for me to say that I actually am going to Paris and Belgium in November, I think. Anyway, I'm excited that I can finally meet this goal. I was actually pretty worried that I wasn't going to be able to go to any foreign countries this year. I do try to travel outside of the States at least twice a year. And this is probably the first time where I'm actually not doing that as consistently. Wait, I actually did go to New York, but I don't necessarily think that counts as another country. Although to me, I feel like New York is a whole different thing. And then lastly, the last goal I want to highlight is be intentional and maintain relationships. So one of the things that I highlighted in one of my videos is I really struggle with making friends here. A lot of it has to do with 1, my age group, and then 2, there's just not a lot of Asian population, and then like the effort of trying to get to know someone and trying to see if it clicks or not. It's just, I think like friendships are just naturally a lot harder when you're a lot older. You have to like make an effort and make a lot of time to get to know that person, and if there's no common interest there, then it's just really hard to want to like maintain that friendship. But surprisingly, I met some amazing people through work, which I know that one could be a little tricky because they are your work colleagues, and then being friends with them outside of work, I always feel like that is just a very tricky spot. But I've met some amazing people, and I'm really, really grateful that they are willing to get to know me. And on my part, it's really important that I actually maintain these relationships and follow up with them and try to connect with them as much as possible, even if we have like some level of differences, or if we're not always like seeing each other eye to eye. Anyway, now I'm just blabbing on at this point. All I'm trying to say is I'm trying to be way more intentional about all the people that I meet and making sure that I give my undivided attention to them and value their friendship. Okay, leading into my professional goals, as you can see, I don't have as many professional goals as I did with my personal goals, but I did accomplish 7 of them out of the 11 that I've already documented here so far. I think the first major goal I want to discuss is begin prepping for an MBA program. This is a pretty new goal I added recently to my list, which, oh God, this is doing it again. Let me edit the default of this and then make it full page mode. Okay, begin prepping for my MBA program. I think this is a goal that I've always wanted to achieve pretty early within my career, or not even my career. I wanted to pursue like higher education because I want to get into a management role or go into consulting, and an MBA program will help that. Do I have the time for it? Yes, but this also means I am gonna have to give up some of my personal hobbies, including probably YouTubing, and it will also mean that I will have to spend less time with my loved ones. And to also add on to that, it may mean that I may have to stop traveling as well. But committing to an MBA program is like committing to a job. I'm still thinking and contemplating if this is the right path for me. But the most important thing is I did start the research. I am going through the application process. But yeah, we'll see exactly where this is in the next 6 months when we check in. All right, the next goal is contribute to pro bono work. So as you can see, I have absolutely nothing in here. And the last time I made this update was back in December of last year. So I don't even think this is a goal that I can truly accomplish. I may actually have to scrap this one out, but I wanted to highlight this just to show you that this is a goal that I really want to accomplish, but I unfortunately couldn't make it. I want to highlight build relationships at work. I think this goal relates to maintaining relationships in my personal life. Honestly, as someone who's very career oriented, it really is important to me that I have a positive and fantastic relationships with my superiors. These are the people that will help you in your career. These are the ones that will provide you the guidance that you need in your professional life. Okay, how many goals did I do? I can't remember if I did 2 or 3 at this point. All right, let's go ahead and just go back. Another goal I want to highlight is learn investment and financial literacy. I think this one leads into building my emergency account. Now that things are looking better for me, I'm back on track with a lot of my financial well-being, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is a very personal one to talk about, so I might scrap this one now. Okay, let's talk about always learn better management practices. This is more about learning how to manage relationships and conflicts at work. I mean, if you work in a very high stress environment, it's very easy to react emotionally, even if you don't mean to react that way. It just naturally happens. And it's just about being more mindful when it comes to like knowing how to better manage yourself, better manage your relationships at work, and even with your colleagues. I don't know, I kind of feel like this really ties back into like managing friendships again. Okay, I'm gonna try to go through one last goal, and that's gonna be find a professional female mentor. That person is going to be my manager. I think I mentioned about her pretty early in one of my other videos, but it's been really great working with her. She's just been a wonderful person that can provide a wealth of knowledge and guidance in my work, and at the same time provide me a lot of professional guidance when I still need support. I feel like one thing that makes it really hard is she is pretty remote, so sometimes it's just really hard to connect with her when it comes to like talking about my projects. I'm sure many people can say they don't really know where they want to be in the next like 5-10 years, or at least they may have a general consensus idea of what that looks like, but always having someone that you can like bounce these ideas off of and be able to talk to from like a management level is always really helpful. Now I want to talk about what worked and didn't work when it came to setting my goals. I'm going to start with what didn't work first, and then we're going to talk about what worked. First things first is aggressively setting deadlines for these goals. So instead of having a due date, I made my template in a way where it was based on the month or the quarter. A lot of these yearly goals were broken down into monthly goals, and I feel like I did it in a way where I broke it down too meticulously. As much as I enjoyed knowing what I want to accomplish, I think I just set too many goals. And obviously, as you saw with my personal goals, I had like 8 completed out of the 15, and then with my professional goals, it was like 7 out of the 11. So obviously I still had a ton of goals that I am still trying to finish out for the year, and to be honest with you, I think it was just a little too much, and I probably should have narrowed it down to the ones that were extremely important to me and that are much more attainable versus just trying to add a ton of goals to just say, oh hey, these are a lot of goals that I was planning to meet. So I feel like as a lessons learned, this was a little bit of a mistake I made. So in the future, I want to narrow it down to only the ones that are much more pertainable and accessible to me. And by no means, I'm not saying this is something that you should or shouldn't do. If you want to track 30, 40, 50 goals, I highly commend you to do it. For me, I just needed it to be narrowed down. That way I can feel like I'm able to actually achieve them. And now let's talk about what worked. Definitely being consistent and mindful by tackling the goals that you can achieve right away. Definitely break it down by months, because that way it'll be a lot easier for you to see that it is dedicated for a specific month. For example, decluttering my apartment. I actually broke that down into a span of 5 months and be able to see that I can dedicate a certain amount of time for each month to accomplish it. In other words, it's just a easier way to track what you want to accomplish, and it's much more manageable. I also thought we could use this time to do the monthly reflections for the month of August. Opening the drop down, I have the same 5 prompts that will automatically populate when you click the monthly reflections button up here, but since I already created it, I'm just gonna get rid of that. Usually I like to think about the most important things that happened for that month, and it's totally okay if you can't finish all of the prompts. I don't try to always fill them out, but I think for this month we might be able to do it. The first question is, what 3 things, people, or moments are you most grateful for over this past month? I'm gonna mention my partner because he has been my biggest supporter of everything that I've been doing in my life. He's been my biggest supporter and has been able to help get me out of scenarios that is either making me uncomfortable or times when I'm having a bad day, and he's able to walk me through it and give me either the space or the support that I need, and I'm very grateful for him. Also, he's planning the entire Europe trip, by the way, so yeah, I'm extremely grateful for that. The second thing I want to document is the new people I've met in my life. As I mentioned earlier, it's very hard to make friends here, and very recently, in fact, I think this month, I've met so many new people that I actually feel like they are my friends. Like I said, I'm just really grateful for all the new relationships that I have established. And then lastly, I'm gonna mention my parents' dog Yuki because she is so freaking adorable. I don't think I really need to explain why I'm mentioning her. She's just been a huge highlight in my family's life. I'm just very grateful that they were able to get her. She has just been a huge bundle of joy to my parents, and I absolutely just love seeing her interact with them. It's just one of those core memories that I want to reserve forever because we hadn't had a pet in a really long time. And my parents are getting a lot older, so just to see that there is a little new family member that's keeping them happy is very rewarding. Okay, what are the 3 wins or peaks from this month? I'm probably gonna highlight my Google launch that I did in end of August. That was obviously extremely important to me. I don't wanna get too deep into it just because I did talk about it in my last video. So what I'm gonna say is launching Google in our product portfolio. Meeting my goal of reading 75 books. The next question that I have are what are the 1 to 3 pits or challenges from this past month, and what can you learn from it from each of these experiences? This one's gonna be really hard because I really don't know if there were any challenges or pits that I may have faced. I mean, yes, I'm gonna have some challenges and pits at work. I think one thing that I can highlight is I feel like I still compare myself to others, and I am in some state of the fear of missing out, especially when it comes to not owning a house right now. I think it's just natural for us to compare ourselves regardless of what we have and what we don't have. I just need to remind myself that I am in a different situation. I know I will recover very quickly, and who knows what's gonna happen in the next like 2 or 3 months. I'm gonna skip over adding any other challenges right now. So let's go over to the 4th question, which is what are 3 goals for the next month? The first one that comes to mind is probably save money because I already know I'm going to go crazy when I'm in Paris. So I'm not gonna go deep into it, but I already know what I'm gonna do. I already know what I'm gonna buy, and I cannot wait for it. So because of that, knowing I have all these plans, I definitely have to buckle down on my savings now. So I'm gonna say save money for my Europe trip. I think the next goal I wanna add is slow down. Believe it or not, I feel like I'm constantly on the run and I barely ever have time to like actually think about what I'm doing. I've always been pretty reactive, and I know I need to like take a huge step back from reacting and actually take a pause. I'm also talking about this in my personal and my professional work, by the way. It's not just for work. Then the last question of my August reflections is how do you want to spend your time next month? I want to spend time being more mindful. I also want to spend time with my loved ones. And lastly, I want to make sure I'm slowing down. I think these are all pretty self-explanatory, so I don't think I need to go in depth about them, but I think it's pretty clear that all 3 of these do roll up into all the other areas that I talked about in these questions. So yeah, I just want to be a little bit more mindful and taking a step back. I hope you found this video helpful and gave you some insight into how I am achieving my goals and how I am managing the ones that I am unable to meet. I am thinking about bringing Notion back into my YouTube channel because I do love making templates and making the walkthrough videos for you. This video was kind of all over the place, so hopefully it was still helpful nonetheless, but I am really happy that I am doing it, and I really hope that it helped you today. As for the remainder of the day, I am going to a cultural Korean festival, so I am going to start getting ready for that. A couple of my friends are going to be there, so I can't wait to see them, and one of my friends is a vendor there, so I cannot wait to go and support their business. But until then, I'm going to conclude this video with some shots of the event, and I will check in with you later.